Hey guys, so I'm back with another video and this is going to be our part 5 of our Netflix clone using .NET MAUI. So before continuing on this video, I would recommend you all to check out the first 4 parts. So I'm going to drop the link of all those 4 parts in the description box. So please do check those out before continuing on this video. So far we have integrated TMDB API, we have designed this main page. We have in previous video we designed this movie row component, so this trending section, original, top rated, and all this. And in this video we are going to work on this movie info box. So if we click on any of the movie, it will going to open this small box with the main movie information and all these buttons and icons. So we are going to work on this in this video. Okay, so first thing, let's stop the app because we need to add a new item to Solution Explorer. So we have our controls folder. Here we will add a new item, and this is again going to be a content view, .NET MAUI content view using XAML. And let's call it movie info box. And this is going to have one property. So within this collection, within all these items, we have complete movie media detail. So we'll pass that detail to this movie info box. So that means this movie info box, this is going to have one bindable property. So let's create that public static read only bindable property, and let's call it movie, or let's call it media property. And we'll create this bindable property dot create, and first thing is property name. So property name is going to be media, and then return type, it is going to be of type media, this media, and then the declaring type, the parent of this. So this is going to be the current movie info box, and then default value. So default value, we are not going to have any default value, so let's have it as null only. Fine. Now define the property of type media, and this is going to be media only. And for get and set, we'll get it from get value and the type of bindable, name of bindable property, so that is media property, movie info box dot media property, and the type is going to be media. And when we are setting it, so we'll say set value and the movie info box dot media property and value. So now we are good, and now we'll change this to name of this media. So this is fine. Now let's go to its XAML part. So for this section, we'll design this section now. So first thing, let's remove all of this. So we'll have one border because we have these rounded corners. So we'll have a border here, and this border, for this border, let's have a binding context similar to in the previous video. We have added that to our movie row elements. So let's add a namespace to controls, and this is going to be controls, this one, and let's add a name to this, Fine. Now we'll have a binding context as X reference this. So now we have this reference up to this. Now next thing is we need to define the border radius for this border. So we'll have the stroke shape, and this is going to be round rectangle with let's say 10, but we need this from two sides only, from top left and top right. We don't need this at the bottom edges. So for this we'll have 10, 10, 0, 0. So this is top left, this is top right, this is these are four bottoms basically. So after that we don't need any thickness for this. So stroke thickness 0, and then this border background color, I have this color already, 2b 2b 2b. This is the light gray color, and then let's have a margin at 0. Fine, we have this border. Now we'll design this section. So for this section we can have a vertical stack layout. In that we can have this grid as a first item, then this as a second item, then this box view as a third item, and this section as fourth item. So let's add a vertical stack layout, or you could have a grid only to design all of these items. It's up to you how you are envisioning this. So let's add this vertical stack layout, and in this vertical stack layout, first thing is we need to design this thing. So let's have a grid for this with 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and 2 columns, 1 column and second column. Fine. So let's create a grid here, and now row and column definitions. So row definitions, 3 row with auto, whatever height the content needs. And then column definitions. So for columns, first this image, so we'll use 120 for this and rest for the second column. And in this grid we'll have a padding of 10, and the spacing between column spacing also 10. Fine. Now first thing, for this image, for rounded corners we'll have a border here. So border, and this is going to be grid.column 0, and as we are planning to have these at 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and this image is going to capture all 3 rows basically. So we need to set the row span as 3. Then let's have height request as 150 and width, as we already defined 120. We defined the column width here, so we'll use that only, 120. And then let's have the stroke shape. This is going to be round rectangle with a radius of 5. And then let's have the stroke, the color basically, the stroke color same as the background, which is this one. For this border, the parent border, the stroke is this, and we don't need the border to be shown, so we'll say stroke thickness as 0. And I think we are good now, and let's have padding as 0 as well. We don't need any padding. And in this, we'll define our image. So for image, first thing, we need to have aspect as aspect fill, and then height and width same as its parent, 150, width as 120, and then the image source for this, it will come from an URL. So image source URI image source, and for this we'll have a URI from binding, and we have this as media dot thumbnail. Okay, so we have this. We designed this section. Now before continuing, let's have it on the UI so that we can see it in action. So let's go to main page, and we have all these items here. In scroll view, we had this main grid where we had this scroll view and grid. This grid is for main header. Then again we'll have this as controls, and then movie info box, and here we need to have media. So for this media, what we can do, we can have a selected movie or selected media on our view model, right? So let's go to our view model, and our home page view model, that is in, where is the view model? Here. So we'll have an observable property for private media, and let's say selected media, observable property, and we'll have the selected media set whenever we click. For now, let's have it. We'll bind the commands and events later, but for now, let's have any movie selected. So let's have this trending movie only. So after setting all these, let's set selected media equals this trending, so that we can at least see something. Go here, binding, we have our selected media here, and now let's run the app. So app is here, and we can see this UI, and it is taking up the complete space, and there is this gap. So let's add the vertical options to end. Fine, it is at end, and after that let's go to moving info box, and on the main content view let's have a padding as 0, and padding and margin let's have both as 0, and then on this border as well let's have padding and margin both as 0. So it is coming from where it is coming. There is this gap, and why so stroke thickness is 0. Stroke shape, stroke thickness is 0. Okay, we have background color also. Okay, let's see, we'll check it later. But for now, let's design this, continue the designing. So we have this thing, And now we need to work on this section, the name, this cross sign, the release date, and this description. So let's work on this. So for this section, this first row and second column. So let's have it again as a grid, as first column for this title and second column as this button basically. So vertical stack layout, border, after border we'll have a grid, and for this grid first thing we'll set grid.row as 0, grid.column as 1. And for this grid there is only one row but two columns. So we'll have the column definitions as star and auto. So whatever space this button is taking, we'll assign rest of the space to the first column, to this title of the media. So column definition. Now let's add the label with the text, and before text let's add the column grid.column 0, and the text is going to be binding, and then binding we have this media dot display title. So if let's add a fallback value as well, if somehow the display title is not there, but no, it will always be there, because we are no for display title, for trending movie we checked, but for display title we didn't check if it is going to be the value with always going to have the value. Okay, so let's have a fallback value something like this, movie title. Okay, then font size as let's say 17, and we can see this. Okay, it is coming along. And then text color is white already. And what is the second thing is this button. So let's have this button. So grid dot column 1, and the text I'm having this X mark only, and then font size same 17. Let's have a background color as lighter color 525252. Okay, after this let's have vertical options as start, fine, and then let's have corner radius of something like 10. Okay, we need to uh, show this as a circle, so we'll define height and width for this. So, and on the basis of height and width we'll set the corner radius. So first thing, height requested, let's have it 25. Width 25. Radius 25. Now the text it should show the text, right? But it is not. Okay, so let's have text color white. Still not showing this. And what is the issue here? Let's have padding is 0. Okay, Okay, it looks fine now. So after that, the second release date. So we'll have this out of this grid, and for this thing we are going to have uh, we could have anything. We could have, okay, let's have a label only. Not, we are not going to make it complicated. So label and grade dot row 1 and column 1, and then text we'll get it from binding movie, sorry, media dot release date. This is here. This is in the proper format. Okay. And after this, we need to have this description. So for this description, let's have a label again with grid dot row 2 and grid dot column 1, and let's have text as binding media dot overview, and this is here. Fine. Okay, we need to have a smaller font size and a lighter color on this release release date. So on this release date, let's have a font size of 10 and the text color as, let me check what is this color. So this is 9D. And then we have this overview. So for this overview also, let's design this. So first thing, let's have font size as 10 or 11, and let's define the max lines as 4. Okay, so this thing is here now. Now next thing, we need to work on these buttons. So save it. Okay, don't save it. Now let's continue. So for this grid, let's collapse this, and now let's start working inside this vertical stack layout for this buttons section. So for this one, we could have a grid again, 1 2 3 4 with 4 columns. So let's have a grid with column definitions as we'll have equal width columns. And apart from these, let's have some margin from top and bottom. So margin left 0, top 20, right 0, and bottom 5. Okay. Now next thing, for these buttons as well, let's have these as so we need two things, right? This, the circular background, and then this icon, and then this text. We need these three things. All right, so for these three, let's create grids on grid, and then for these grids, we'll have two rows, one for this icon and second for this text, right? So let's have row definitions as auto and auto. So whatever space they need, and this grid, for this grid again, 124. Then this first item, okay. We are designing first item, so we'll say grid dot column 0. And row definition auto and auto, fine. And for the first row, we'll have this background. So let's have an ellipse as row 0, column 0. So we don't need to specify these, or we could specify if we want. So for this ellipse, let's have a height and width of 25. Height, width 25, and background colors. For this we have fill, and let me check what color is this. So this is 3C, 3C, 3C. Okay, horizontal options at center, and vertical options again at center. And on the same grid, row and column, we'll use image, and for its we have a play.png file, this one, and image source. Apart from source, let's define height and width as 20 and 20, height and width 20, and aspect as aspect fill of it, whatever. And for this we need to have this color, white color, so we'll use community toolkit for defining the behavior for this white color. For that, let's add the community toolkit namespace, so XMLNS, say toolkit. For community toolkit, let me pull the browser. So we need to have this namespace, and then we can use it as this. Fine. So we have this image, and we add this behavior here, and the tint color is going to be white, and this is fine. After this, we are going to have uh, this text, display text. So this is going to be a label, a simple label, and for this grid.row is going to be 1, and the text we have display. Now we need to center it. So first thing, let's have horizontal options at center. Fine. And then let's have a smaller font size as 11, and then the a lighter color. So text color, let me check what color is it. It is 9D. So we have this thing ready. Now we just need to replicate it 3 more times for download, my list, and share. So instead of this copy pasting these, we could have it as some control or some template or some content view here only, and we can use this from there. But for now, I'm going to have it here only, but I can move these styles over to resources here. So content view dot resources, resource dictionary, and let's have this is on ellipse, right? So let's have a style target type ellipse and key as icon bg, icon background basically. So let's have the setters here. Setter property is height request, and the value is 25 for this. And let me copy it. So width request same as 5. Then we have fill, this color. Then we have horizontal options at center, and then vertical options at center. Okay, and we can set this here with style static resource icon bg. Okay, let's move these thing as well. So style, and instead of ellipse it will be image. Let's say icon img, and we need height 20, width 20, and aspect fill. So height 20, width 20, and then aspect fill. Okay, we can get rid of these. Let's add style static resource icon img. And now for this label, we have these 3 properties. So let's set this as well. We'll say icon, bt, and text. So we have these 3 properties, horizontal options as center, font size, and text color. First thing, let's remove these from here, add style, static resource, and target type should be label. So we'll have icon, bt, and text. And let's add those properties here. So first thing, horizontal options at center. Then font size 11. And then text color as this color. Fine. So we have the same design. Okay. Now for these 3 things, this grid actually, I'm going to copy this over for 3 times. So second one, for second we need download icon and download button. So download and the image download and grid.column should be 1. Fine. And same thing, let's repeat it. And the third one, it is going to be column 2 and my list, and this should be plus. Yeah. And then fourth one, the share icon, share, and it should be share, and column 3. Okay, so we have all these buttons now. So all these buttons are ready. Next thing, we need to work on these details and more and this section. So let's work on this section. First thing, this line. So this line, let's have this line first. So for this, we can have a box view here with height request as 2 and the color, background color as the same 90 color, 90, 90, 90. And let's have a margin 5, 0. And after this, we need this thing. So let's have a grid with 3 columns, 1, 2, and 3. So grid with column definitions as auto, star, and auto. So whatever space the first icon, last icon needs, and apart from that, all space will give it to the second column. So this grid, and now we have first this thing same as this info. So we can copy this icon. So let's go to main page, and on main page, let's search for info. So we add this grid with this thing. So let's come here and copy this grid. We have the same thing, and on this grid actually, column definitions here, we'll have padding of somewhat 15. Fine. Okay. And let's move it to left, move these to left as well. Okay, fine. So we have this I button, and after that we need to have these details and more this thing. So before that, let's have grid.column, the default 0, and after this we'll have a label with grid.column 1 and the text as these details and more. Details and more. Fine. So we need spacing between these two. So let's add these here only, spacing. Column spacing is 10. 5. Okay. Details and more 5. And that's all for this. And next thing, let's have this icon, this thing. So label grid.column as 2 and the text as this greater than sign. Okay, so we have these things ready. The color of this is hmm, this is black, right? It's box view, background color. What is this color on background view? Yes, okay. And why is there some spacing? Padding 0, column spacing. In box view, we have this margin without padding. There's no padding, right? Because box view can't have any child. So we have 0 here, and on this vertical stack layout, let's have a padding at 0. It's also padding 0, padding 0. Okay, we'll check it later. So this thing is ready. The design is ready basically. For now, it is just having this kind of hard coded. We cannot do anything. We cannot click on this. We are clicking on this, but nothing is happening. But ideally, what should happen when we click on any of this thumbnail, this item, it should load up in this grid. And when we close this, when we click on this thing, it should close this info box. So this is we are going to do this in next part because this video is already very long. So yeah, like this video, comment this video, and subscribe my channel. And I'm going to post the next part very soon. Till then, bye bye.